here we are again for another episode of Shining the Light on episode 14. In fact, already. Welcome, Therese. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm super amped for today's chat on fragrance. It is like shocking and smelly and clings to everything. It is quite the conversation that we're going to have today. So I'm excited to dive in. We've both had quite interesting experiences, right, with fragrance and cleaning up our products and things. But it's just like anything, just like with food, when you are eating a lot of sugar and you're eating a lot of like refined salt and MSG, like you don't, and then you eat, say, like a banana or a piece of fruit, it doesn't seem very sweet. But once you start, reducing your intake of all these really processed lab-made things, and then you're consuming these natural fruits, they start to taste so sweet because your taste buds resensitize. And it's the same with the sense of smell. When we're using all these fragrances, we have to add more to get the smell and like experience that euphoric feeling of enjoying the scent. But then once we start reducing our intake and eliminating them and we smell them, holy moly, it's just like, how did I ever put this on my body or my sheets or whatever?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because even when you're using those chemical-based synthetic scents regularly, you actually go nose deaf to it. It's something your body does to block out the information. It's like, okay, I know what this is, and now I need to block it out so I can absorb other information, which is why sometimes people feel like their fragrance actually stops working, but then they get around other people and those people are like, like, I can smell you coming, but you can't smell yourself.
No.
But not only that, it's not even just the perfume. It's the fact that in most traditional products that are out on the market, there's fragrance in literally everything. I mean, I heard that on average, women use up to 20 products daily that have fragrance in them. And I'm sure it's actually more than that if you really think about.
I agree. Let's break it down. So say you wake up in the morning and you're laying in Downy and like bounce laden fabric softener in your blankets. You say you go right to the shower. You are using shampoo, conditioner, a body wash, a soap, a face wash, potentially, right? Any other things in the bath, shaving cream or your razor, scrubs. Right? Yeah. So that's already like almost 10. And then say you get out and you put moisturizer on that has got fragrance in it. And then your foundation has fragrance in it, your lip balms, your serums, your face routine, your deodorant's got fragrance in it. Now you're doing your hairstyling and your hairspray and whatever you're using in your hair. Maybe you're using 2, 3, 4 products has fragrance in it.
Yeah.
We're already at 20 products and you've only been awake for 20 minutes, let alone putting your perfume on before you leave the house, perhaps your lip.
I was just going to say, if you're using candles or air fresheners,
that's contributing. That's not even, and I'm just going into the morning routine. You put your lip balm on, your lipstick has fragrance. Yeah. And then you're turning on the Airwick thing or spraying Febreze on the couch. And then you're getting into your vehicle and there's one of those air freshener fragrance thingies hanging from the windshield.
Right. Yeah. It's nonstop. I mean, we're so inundated with it that it's literally in everything. And the scary part is that fragrance is an industry that is fragrance as a product and an additive to products is unregulated. There is no regulating body. There's no, they're not asked to disclose what is the composites of this fragrance. So it can literally be up to 3,000 chemicals that makes one fragrance. So the smell of Dove soap, we don't know how many chemicals combine to make just that smell alone. So even the product you're using, you're thinking, well, it's just one fragrance. It's not. It's a compound. And it's not being disclosed to you.
Are you surprised it's not being disclosed? Because I'm not.
No, I'm disappointed.
Of course.
And of course, I go back to my earlier years. I mean, I worked in the beauty counters at high-end department stores in my youth. And I was right next to the cosmetics. I mean, the fragrance counter. And I was the girl who was like, every time between customers, I was like, choo, 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 or something new comes in, spraying it on my husband.
Totally.
I mean, oh
yeah. It's just because you associate it with beauty and with trend and with fitting in
luxury.
And be luxury, right? So we associate these smells and these fragrances with fitting in and feeling good enough and living a certain lifestyle, right? Because when we don't feel worthy and good enough, it's like, I've got to get all these things and put them all on my body to try and fit some image. And yeah, I remember I used to go and I'd get the Ralph Lauren perfume in the blue and clear bottle and spray it all over. And I'd go to the fragrance section and spraying all this stuff all over me. And like, now we choke our way through. It's almost like the Mr. Bean skit where he's walking through the mall, the department store, and he gets the fragrance section and he's like coughing and choking. And then he's like crawling down through, and then he gets to the other side and there's a lady coming in and he's like, no, don't do it. Like, go this way. Like, right. Cause it's true. It's once your taste buds or your sense of smell reawakens, your nostrils burn, your throat gets sore, you get a headache. Like your body is now able to actually tell you the clear truth of like, this, I don't want this, keep this away from me. This is not good for me.
I remember being on both sides of this because again, as that younger girl who was all into it, I was so into it. And I remember I lived in New York, and in winter, you wear these big, heavy coats. And I would be coming into my acting class and unzip my coat, and just the warmth of your body releases the like it's like a container. So you're like very fragrant when you unzip your coat. And my acting teacher at the time, who was very natural and so, couldn't handle it. Like it gave her headaches, and I'd unzip it. She'd be like, Therese, I can't, you have to stop. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not that bad. And now I'm on the other side of it where I'm clear of all that stuff. And I go into a place, it's, the ones that really like get me is I went to the pet store the other day to pick up cat litter, and now they have cat litter with Febreze in it, and it's in the box, and I'm walking up to it and I can smell it coming out of the box, and I'm like, oh my God, this is giving me the worst headache, to even just be near it in a box container. That's how intense that stuff is.
100%. Yeah. So they spray it on your garbage bags. Like it's gross.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And that particular product, I don't know, maybe we should ask the cards later about that one in particular, because they're literally putting Febreze on everything over here. I mean, like you said, garbage bags, cat litter. It's like on dusting, anything you're dusting with now you can get a coating of Febreze on it. Adding it to, they have those scent pod things you can add to your laundry right now.
Yes.
That you literally you're dumping in this unregulated fragrance, and you don't know how many chemicals you just added to make your laundry smell fresher. And one of the things I learned about this that was disturbing is that there is a secondhand effect of fragrance that we often don't think about, right? Because we're used to the idea of secondhand smoke, and it's not just the person smoking, but it's the people around the person are also getting those chemicals and carcinogens from it. Well, it turns out it's the same with fragrance, but it's almost like 10 times worse, because in an average cigarette, there is about 250 chemicals that are released from smoking. And with fragrance, like I said, it can be up to 3,000 different chemicals. And we think that it's just affecting us personally, but it's actually, like I said, when I took off my coat, it would emanate off of me. And, I was seeing people have side effects. I, at the time, thought, oh, this is just a person being dramatic, right? But it actually is having an impact on the people around you. I mean, you were mentioning like having family come over, like tell us that one.
Right. So people coming to visit and someone's wearing perfume, and we're like driving in a vehicle, right? And Bill and our noses are burning. We're getting headaches, and it's from this other this lady's perfume. And it's just like, holy moly. And so the second day when we went out, we kept the windows cracked. Luckily it was nice weather, and right, to just like have the fresh air, because it's crazy how fast those fragrances will impact you. Or I remember one day going to a friend's house and she had one of those Sensies. So it's like it plugs into your outlet and then it has a light in it and it melts this big brick of wax that's just full of fragrance. And then it emits the smell through your house. Yeah. And I had to like leave. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but like, I feel horrible. Like, it's not your fault, but I'm really sensitive to fragrances and things. And I'm literally feeling unwell being in your house. Can we go for a walk? It's not you, but like, you know, I'm like, should I not say anything? I'm like, no, I'm going to be honest. Cause like, this is what's going on and maybe it'll plant a seed, but like, it's these trendy things that are sold to us that just seem so great. And I get it. When you're in it, you're like, you're crazy. What's the big deal? It's just smells good. It's not negatively impacting. How come I don't feel like crap? And it's like, cause you're probably in this fog where everything just feels kind of whatever. And you think that this is just the way you feel. And once you get out of the fog though, that's when you're like, holy crap, this is optimal. I used to feel like garbage, no wonder. And then, right. It's like, once you experience the difference, but until you do, you just think everyone else is crazy.
Yeah. I have to say, there is a weird, like social programming component that I can't quite put my finger on, but it's interesting because fragrance is very personal, right? It affects us in the hypothalamus, where memories are stored. So we have personal and very strong connection to fragrance. So, you know, if we're smelling something or we're used to something in our environment or on us that we are associating with, it's almost like you're insulting me directly. Like if it were me coated in fragrance or, you know, and you're like, I can't stand that smell. The way it's perceived by most people is you're insulting me, right? It becomes personal. So it's a really interesting thing. And I was saying to Amber before we started recording that out of all the things I did to clean up my, you know, environment, my life of toxins to the best of my ability, fragrance was one of the last ones that I was willing to look at because it is so personal. It is like, it becomes a way that we use it as like an identifier, right? Where everyone's looking for their signature scent or their personal fragrance or the bath kit. You know, there's a bubble bath that was used when I was a little kid, that the smell of it, anytime I smell it, I'm like, you know, you're taken right back there. And to be told that's gross or it's making me sick is like, it's hard to separate yourself from the fragrance itself. You start to take it in as a part of you because you're emotionally connected to it.
Totally, 100%. And I think that's one of the pieces is that emotional connection, that identity. And you honestly just don't get it until you experience the shift for yourself. And we see in this fog, it calcifies the pineal gland. We can't discern. We don't have our intuition in the same way. It lowers our frequency. Like there's just so much connected to this. So you know, it's important to be patient with people that maybe they don't get the fragrance thing like you do, because you literally just don't get it. Like we've both been there. We've been on that side and it's just so innocent, right?
It is. I mean, no one willingly, if we had the upfront information, if you were shown what actually composed the scent you were making, they would give you a booklet and you'd have to flip through it and see all of it. And then that might make you go, you know what, this isn't worth it to me. But because it's unregulated and they can literally just say, oh, trade secret, you know, it's our secret formula. Yeah. And they don't have to disclose it to you. You're not thinking about the impact it's having on you. And like I said, there's like this emotional component as well. And then you've got, you know, the other thing that we're not looking at is we see it as innocent. Fragrances, even in baby products. I mean, like everyone knows the smell of Johnson & Johnson. I mean, and it only, how long ago did it come out that the baby formula was made with talc or the effects of talc on the body? No one really knew. Yeah. Right. So we're dousing little babies in fragrance as well. So it's with us for a long time. It is. And it's hard to believe that something that seems so innocuous is so toxic and could have serious side effects. But let's talk about the side effects, because that is actually what triggered me. It was me in my mid-30s going, something's up with my hormones. I know something's off. I don't know what's off. Like, let me try to figure it out. And then going down a rabbit hole and finding out about how disruptive fragrance is to your endocrine system. That was the one where I was like, crap, I need to stop.
Yeah, because I had high estrogen, and then
Me
it's
too.
like, what's the first thing that you're supposed to do when you have high estrogen? Remove all the chemicals and toxins in your skincare and body care, because you're absorbing in less than 25 seconds, all of these different things. It's negatively impacting your liver. You're building up all these toxic estrogens in the body, and your body can't deal with the overload that you're giving to it. Right. So I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see, because I have our good old favorite ewg.org. So if you haven't checked it out yet, this is an incredible website that literally has like every body care, skincare, room, laundry, cleaning product ever. And they literally rate them. They have a rating of 1 to 10. 10 is the most extreme. And obviously 1 is like not harmful. Here's the little rating here, right? And then they talk about what it is and what products it's in. So let's go through. So obviously fragrance is an 8, which is like almost the worst, right? It's extreme. And of course, the word fragrance or perfume on the product label represents an undisclosed mixture of various scent chemicals and ingredients used as fragrance dispersants, such as diethyl phthalates. Fragrance mixes have been associated with allergies, dermatitis, respiratory distress, potential effects on the reproductive system. So then we have a big that it scores really high for allergies and immunotoxicity. And then of course we see here endocrine disruption. Obviously, like we've been talking about, like that's a huge one, impacting the reproductive system and the non-reproductive system. Irritation, skin, eyes, lungs. Can we also add nose to that? Because right, our noses were burning after breathing in that little bit of perfume. And then let's look at products, right? Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, moisturizers, hair treatments, liquid hand soaps, face masks, lipstick, deodorant's a big one, right? All your hairstyling stuff and your soap, facial moisturizer, bath oils, even bath salts. Like a lot of crappy bath salts are full of fragrance, perfumes, foundations. You mentioned scrubs, lip glosses, facial cleansers. Obviously, hair color has fragrance, sunscreens, lip balms, which to me is just like icky. You know, your gels and hairsprays and all that kind of stuff, hand sanitizer, body sprays. I remember buying these body sprays when I was like a teenager, because you think you're so cool. It's just like, oh my gosh, if only I would have known. Right. But there's, look at all of this: shaving cream, concealer, bronzers, styling mousses, makeup remover, bubble bath, detangler. Like it just, the list goes on, even in eyeshadow, like baby oil, like you were just talking about, baby shampoo, lip plumper. Like, look at this huge list. It just keeps going. It's legitimately in like
everything, pretty much any product that exists, unless it specifically states that it's fragrance free or it's naturally fragranced or something like that, you can just basically assume they've added fragrance to it. You know,
it's even in mouthwash.
Yeah, that's insane. Why is there fragrance in mouthwash?
Well, we really know why, because they're just trying to poison everybody and make everyone sick and dumb down. Let's just be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's clearly, I mean, when you look at this, it's hard to be like, there's no agenda. It's like, but really, okay. So some of the things I also, there's another article that I'm going to put the link in it in the description. Yes, the Dr. Axe article. So here's some of the other side effects. And this is crazy, right? So we talked about the hormone disruption, which I think is terrible. Obesity can be a side effect of fragrance.
Yeah, makes sense, because it messes with your hormones and inflammation, and then you gain weight more easily, right?
Right. Also, infertility can be a side effect of all this fragrance disruption. Kidney damage. And in this article, which we will link to the description, you'll see that it breaks down that you can literally experience kidney damage from this. The most vulnerable, of course, being pregnant women, babies, and children. And remember, there's a secondhand side effect. In fact, I learned today that the phthalates that are put in the products, and everyone knows like phthalates bad. We know that now, and they're removing phthalates from a lot of things, which is great. But phthalates, women who are using products that are women who are pregnant using these products that are full of phthalates can affect the fetus that they're carrying inside of them. And what they've found is that specifically male fetuses, it will actually have an impact on their penis size. It'll give them a micro penis, which is, it is
Makes
so
sense.
weird. And of course, you know, having had children, if I had known that, of course I wouldn't put any of that on the body, but it's not commonly known. And this article, I believe, is like several years old. I believe this is the article I pulled when I first started digging into research. But I mean, just the fact that, you know, even autism is linked to fragrance consumption.
Totally. Chronic headaches. They say one of the leading causes of headaches and migraines is fragrance, using fragrance and the inhalation of fragrance. Right. And then, I mean, look at this. Overall reported health problems after exposure to fake fragrance. Overall, 34% of the population reported one or more types of adverse health effects from exposure to fragrance products. The most common symptoms were respiratory problems, mucosal symptoms, migraine, headaches, skin, asthma attacks, neurological problems, cognitive, gut, right? Cardiovascular, immunity. And then scented laundry products and vented outdoors, 12% report health problems from scent of laundry products coming from the dryer vent, right? When our neighbors do laundry and they're using the Downy, like we have to keep our deck door closed because the waft comes in so bad and it smells so horrible. And then you start to feel a headache. Your nose gets stuffy. Like this stuff is literally a detriment and a danger to the air and to, right, all aspects of who we are. It's cancer, right? Here's another. Like everything.
This chart that she's scrolling through right here, it breaks down like the areas that are so affected.
How fragrance chemicals damage the body.
It's literally going into our bloodstream as it goes into our skin.
You know, 25 seconds. That is not a conspiracy theory. We absorb into our skin in less than 25 seconds. And you know how you know as well, when you clean up what you're putting on your body and then something gets put on your body that's toxic, you can taste it in like 15 or 20 seconds. That's how fast. The last thing I did before I stopped in 2020 was I get my nails done. And she'd put my fingers in the little thing with whatever it was. And I could taste it within 20 seconds of putting my nails in that. And I'm like, there's the truth about that absorption thing. Right. And same with my hair. Like that's the only thing I do now is I get my hair done once every 2 months. And once they put the dye on or whatever it is, I can taste it in like 20 seconds and my teeth ache.
Wow.
You can tell now though, you're in tune, right? Like your system is resensitized as it's supposed to be.
Right.
But this article is great. We'll definitely link it. There's so much here about this. So I'll be sure to put it in the description below so you guys can go take a really deep read on it.
So we know it's in everything. We know that there's a lot. And again, you know, as we're sharing all these different topics with you, the point is to help you look at it and make choices about it. It's a process. I mean, I would never tell anyone, go change everything in your life right now. It's overwhelming and it kind of leads to a burnout and a shutdown. So rather it's like you pick your battles, like what could you give up or change first? Like, for example, with myself, it took me a while to let go of the perfume. I could change the shampoo. I could change the body wash. I could change the deodorant. All of that was, you know, I'm like, okay, these changes I can make. The perfume was last.
Right.
Even I think I changed my household cleansing products before I even touched the perfume. Like it was one of those things where I'm like, I have to slowly walk this down. And I honestly think that's the best way because
I agree.
It helps you become slowly desensitized to it. As you become slowly desensitized, it was easier to let it go because when I did go to smell it, I'd be like, okay, now this doesn't smell like I remember. This smells off. There's definitely something really fake smelling about this that I wasn't able to pick up on before. Like I said, like Amber's saying, it's like you become more sensitive and it's like your nose actually can articulate the different layers of it.
100%.
And now to the point where I can't be around it. It's just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And it doesn't feel luxurious anymore. So the whole spell I was under, where I was like, this is luxury and like beauty and things like that. Now when I'm around it, I'm like, it's just so fake. It's so.
Yeah. That's the thing though, is it is like a spell. Like you do, you it's so innocent. You have no idea. And I love what you said about like making small changes. I think it's so important that we do make small changes. And I always say, start with changing your deodorant. I love Rocky Mountain Soap Company. They have cream and roll on, RockyMountainSoapCompany.com. I love their stuff because I know the owners. It's made an hour away from me. They use no chemicals or toxins, no fragrances. They've put a lot of effort into their product. And so, sourcing local ingredients, but start with a deodorant because that's one of your most high absorption areas into your lymph nodes. Right. And then maybe next you go with your laundry soap, and the Eco Max is a good natural brand, or maybe you make your own. Hubby's parents learned about the Downy and everything. Now they're making their own laundry. That's amazing, right? And no more fragrance and chemicals. So to me, because you're wearing your clothes all the time, you're sleeping in your bed, like those would be two good things to shift. And then from there, maybe you start with like your shampoo and conditioner or your lotion, and just one product at a time. Don't feel like you have to change everything at once unless you desire to. I've had people like, I just threw everything out and got everything. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But if you feel overwhelmed by that, just baby steps, right?
Right. And I mean, sometimes what you find that you keep having to adjust over time. For example, when I got rid of all the harsh cleansers, because that was one of the first things that really gave me a headache. And when women are pregnant, our sense of smell increases dramatically so that we can actually smell mold in food and dangerous substances. So my sense of smell stayed heightened after having children. So getting rid of really, really intense smells was an easy choice for me. I'm like, oh, can't stand it. I got to get this out of here. But I remember I'd switched to something that was like, I can't remember the name of the product. It's citrus something, but it was a citrus oil cleanser that you could mix with water. And it was so beautiful and it smelled so good. And then I found out that the ingredient that they're using, it is natural, but it comes from the peels of oranges and lemons and limes. It's called limonene, and limonene is just as much of an endocrine disruptor as the fake scents. And so that was like, that was hard because limonene is like, for example, I switched to Lush products for a while. They they use limonene in a whole bunch of their stuff. So I was like, crap, okay, this is we're still in a problem area. I know there.
Lush, Bath and Body Works, right? Not Bed Bath and Beyond, Body Shop, like they all claim that they're like from nature, but all you have to do is walk by the store and you can smell the fragrance and you start reading the ingredient labels. So here's the other thing, start looking at the ingredient labels on your products that you're purchasing, because it will say fragrance or perfume. And there's your other red flag, but your nose, you'll just get to the point where like smelling like there's totally fragrance in that. You can't. Yeah.
Well, and one of the most amazing things is that you actually learn that you're being sold a bunch of shit, pardon the language, but you're being sold a bunch of crap you don't need.
Exactly.
Like, the dryer sheet thing, I used to think, oh my God, you can't dry your clothes without dryer sheets. Now I never use that anymore.
We don't
it's
either.
So unnecessary. I went from having like 50, I swear to God, I had so many different cleaning products because I needed a different thing for the job. Yeah. Now, predominantly, I'm using like white vinegar blends with essential oils, with baking soda if you need the scrubbiness, and they make these great compounds. And it's like, you can clean so much and so well with so little. I mean, it literally ends up, you save a lot of money, not investing in all of this other crap that you're being sold. Like, we don't realize that, like, how much they're selling us into being consumers in ways that we think, you just think you have to have it. Like, it's what you grew up with. You want to be clean and hygienic, and you believe these things have to be there for that to happen.
Exactly.
And most of the time, what we're just buying the poisons that are killing us. That's kind of
just funding these big companies and enabling them to continue doing what they're doing. Right. And so I think this is where it's just so important to be real and honest with it. And, that we have the power to shift this by voting with our dollars and minimizing, because it should have never been so complicated. You don't need 20 things to clean your house. You don't need to put 20 serums on your face in the morning. It's simplicity is what the body thrives off of, and we don't need all this stuff. But yeah, consumerism was created by the dark, right? And to the level which it is, but we're seeing the shift now, which is great. So let's get into questions, shall we? I'm eager. Okay. So the first question, does fragrance cause certain emotions to become like heightened or triggered? Because I'm curious, like, does it trigger more anger, frustration, sadness, anxiety, depression, or is it that it just dulls everything down?
All right.
See what the universe has to say.
Oh. All right. Whoa. They wanted to talk a lot. Yeah. I think it actually goes a different way. So we've got the 8 of Cups here. So it has an emotional impact on us for sure. Like we talked about, it actually overstimulates. It's a dopamine driver.
Yeah, makes sense.
I didn't even think of that, but it's dopamine driver. Yeah. And it makes it like, what it's doing is it's blowing out your senses. Like if you were to put too many plugs into a socket, you'd blow out, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. So it is desensitizing you, but it's desensitizing you by overwhelming you to the point where your body will go, too much information. It's too much. I got to shut this down. I'm shutting this down. And you start to shut down on an emotional level too. So it actually increases your detachment to what's going on in your body and detachment to what's happening to you emotionally. You are compartmentalizing only because your body is like, how am I going to focus? Like imagine being at work, like I was working in a department store with a counter full of this crap. How am I supposed to concentrate and focus on the person talking to me and actually, give them money, take money, give them the right money back? So much compartmentalization had to happen. So much has to be shut down. But at the end of it, you're blown out. So burnout is really what it's doing to people. You're overstimulated and you're burning out because of this.
It makes sense. Wow. And the other thing I'm getting from it is just like, I just don't care, right? I don't have the energy. I don't care. Oh, this thing's happening in the world. Oh, I don't care to entertain a second opinion. It's like that. I hate to say dumbing down, but it does. It really like dumbs us down, makes us more docile, makes us more dull. And then we don't have any capacity emotionally, physically, energetically to entertain anything other than like our tunnel vision. It really feels that way.
So it does dull you down, but it skyrockets you first.
For sure. But it's the accumulation that just, you're in this fog. You're just in a fog.
Yeah. Wow.
That totally makes sense.
It does make sense. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to have like some kind of like mental component, and it does. I mean, it's dopamine overload, and it's frying your circuits is what it's doing. So it's almost like a light bulb getting too much electricity and popping. And that's what's happening in your brain. Your dopamine receptors are popping. So what happens, and we know this with different things that overproduce dopamine, like for example, pornography. I always use that one because it's so powerful what it does. Yeah. Because it's overstimulating. It burns out the dopamine receptors, and your brain has to create more, which means that what was stimulating you originally stops stimulating you, and you need more. Or in the case of like pornography, you need weirder. It gets, you get more intense with it. Right. So that's why with fragrance, it's kind of similar. It's like we're getting blown out, and these dopamine receptors are blowing out. And so now you need more. Your perfume you were wearing isn't enough. Now you need the all day body spray that you layer with the scented lotion. I used to work at Victoria's Secret as well. And I worked in the fragrance side. Yeah. And we had a system. It was a scented soap with a scented lotion, with a scented spray, and then the signature fragrance. You're like piling this crap on you. And they called it layering, but it's like, I don't know.
Layers of poison. Okay. That's that totally makes sense. Okay. The second question. Yeah. The fragrance is used to create disharmonious relationships, because there's all kinds of things that they do to do that, right? Because we, like you said, we produce certain pheromones to attract partnership.
we didn't really go into that, but one of the things fragrance does is it actually dulls down your natural pheromones that you're giving off. It masks them and it makes them less detectable. So pheromones are what creates attraction between people, and yet we're masking our pheromones with this fake scent, which means we could be, the question was sort of like, are we not coupling in a way that's harmonious because we're sort of being misdirected with this fake fragrance, right?
Yeah, totally.
All right, so let's ask the team.
And as always, if you have questions, if there's certain topics you want to see us dive deep into or talk about, please leave a comment. Or if you're with us here in the live chat, we love interacting with you. We always want to come up with new content and episodes that are going to help empower you on your journey and on this ascension on this beautiful planet we live on.
Oh my God. Okay. Crap. This is a big one. Apparently, I asked a doozy here because we've got like several cards coming up. Wow. Oh. So yes. Yeah. So first we get the debauch card, which means it's like this is an inauthentic spiritual connection is happening because the Seven of Cups represents having to make a choice with your intuition or being drawn in by something fake. And when it's in the upright position, it's like you don't know what's real and what is the ego or what is the illusion. So it's disrupting it. Then you get the Lovers coming up in the reversed position. So literally, this is also talking about a lack of discernment. You're not discerning correctly. You are not picking up the signals accurately. It's being done as a form of control, right? It's a control thing. So what we can know is like, yeah, this is being, oh my goodness, so many here coming through. Yeah, it's a control structure. It's meant to create disharmony between couplings because that would ensure a sort of shaky foundation for any kind of family structure or long-term procreation plan. It's like they even talk about this with birth control. They say that when a woman is on birth control, that it actually changes her scent receptors and it ends up becoming attracted to a man that she wouldn't normally be attracted to. And it's been reported that women who are in relationships who get off of birth control, like a couple months later, they're like suddenly not attracted to their partner because their hormones were being messed with, which was messing with their chemistry and their sense of, what they're actually attracted to.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so the message here is it was definitely part of the plan. It was recognized and realized that this was a subtle, they're showing me a snake in the grass. It was a very sneaky, subtle way to get in there and disrupt without ever being sensed.
Yeah.
Infiltration, the pun, without ever being sensed, but we couldn't see it coming and there was no hand to point to it. Subtle, it's happening on such a subtle level that we don't even realize that we're literally, there's other key factors of course that are involved in mismatch and inharmonious relationships. Just including how society views relationships, especially right now, but this is contributing to blocking your intuition from being able to sense a partner who is actually spiritually, emotionally aligned to you. Those wires are being crossed now, and people aren't able to make the connection. The one thing I will say is that even if we find out we're in a disharmonious relationship because we have chemical disruptors, there's still a spiritual purpose for it. I do believe people are in our lives for a reason. So it's not, we can't, say, oh, I shouldn't be in this relationship because of fragrance.
No.
It's not that, but it definitely makes it harder to detect the energetic alignment that you have with a person, which means that, on the downside, on the scarier part is that predatory people can use that to their advantage and probably do without knowing maybe that it's working to their advantage.
Totally. Yeah. Well, another very eye-opening card reading from the universe. Thank you to the team for all of this.
Yeah.
And another great episode. Therese, where can everyone find you if they want to come and learn more about you and your work and what you have to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check me out at blythestarlight.com. The link is in the description below. If you want to hear more from me and what the universe is sharing with me, you can check out my YouTube channel, which is Blythe Starlight. And Amber, how about you? How can I get in touch?
That's all below. Yes. So if you're wanting to clean up your products, you want to get hormone testing done, you're wanting to really like become more in tune with your body and do some deep healing, you can connect with me. All the details are below. You can listen to the podcast. You can book a consultation. I have a membership where we talk more about all this kind of stuff too. So there's lots available. All the details are below. And you can kind of decide what feels best for you. So thank you everyone for tuning in again. We're so excited to share this with you every week. We'll be back again for episode 15 next Wednesday, same time, same place. Like I said, if you love it and you have certain topic ideas, don't hesitate to share them with us. We're always happy to take a deep dive. And thank you again for joining me, Therese. It's such a pleasure to lead this with you.
Yay, absolutely. I'm enjoying it.
Me too. See you next week.